Hi, it's Sierra Miller. I can't wait for you to check out my new collection of shoes and accessories at Designer Shoe Warehouse. If you love shoes as much as I do, then trust me, I got you. From cute sneakerinas to the perfect flip-flops to stunning heels, these shoes are all style, no drama. It's a girl's girl summer, and DSW has just the shoes. Shop the Sierra Miller collection right now at your DSW store or dsw.com.
Traditional home security only alerts you after a break-in, and that's too late. Simply Safe is changing that.
Stop. This is Simply Safe. Police are on the way.
We don't just alert, we stop crime before it starts. Simply Safe, plan starting around $1 a day. Save 50% on your new system with professional monitoring at simplysafe.com/SXM or with promo code SXM.
Outdoor deterrence requires a Simply Safe Active Guard outdoor protection plan starting at $49.99 a month. Visit simplysafe.com/licenses for alarm license information. Tennessee 2012.
To get the Crime Writers on Aftershow right now, go to patreon.com/Partners in Crime Media.
I'm Rebecca Lavoie, and this is Crime Writers On. Crime Writers On is the original true crime review podcast that digs into true crime, pop culture, other podcasts. And on this episode, he was the investor to the stars who provided more than just financial advice. How was he able to lure and rape young women with no consequences for so long? We'll revisit our review of the classic true crime podcast, The Mysterious Mr. Epstein. Joining me to get that done and more is true crime author, TV journalist, and host of These Are Their Stories podcast, my husband and the love of my life, Kevin Flynn. Hello, Kevin.
Hello, Rebecca. Happy summer.
Yeah, you too. It's getting kind of steamy.
It has. And so for folks wondering, on Thursdays for the summer, we present a classic rewind episode. Fresh episodes on Monday, then sort of best of the best on Thursdays.
All right, so what's coming up in this classic rewind of CWO?
Okay, we're going back to our October 14th, 2019 review of The Mysterious Mr. Epstein from Wondery and host Linsey Graham.
Not that Linsey Graham.
No, isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think we...
funny, haha.
Not funny, haha,
yes.
But... and anyway, just a note for folks, because a couple of these from the summer are from a certain era, where it sounds like I have a really bad cold. I don't. It's cancer. But this was before my voice surgery. So if I sound a little funky in this one, that's why. All right. So, but that being said, should we roll the tape?
Let's take a listen.
In March of 2005, financier Jeffrey Epstein is at a charity benefit in New York City. Wall Street titans are in attendance. Rod Stewart is booked to perform. In a photo taken that night, Epstein has his arm around a woman, pulling her head toward his so that his smirking lips graze her temple. Epstein is tan and relaxed, and he looks like he doesn't have a care in the world.
His crime shocked, his punishment outraged, and his death left questions. Wondery's new podcast sets off to answer who was millionaire Jeffrey Epstein, who enabled his child sex trafficking, and why did the system favor him over his victims.
On that same day, 1,200 miles south, a 14-year-old girl in Palm Beach, Florida, gives a statement to the police that will launch an investigation. But maybe Epstein is right not to be worried.
Nobody cared what these women had to say. Their insights were ignored as the feds and then the state made this case go away.
In The Mysterious Mr. Epstein, host Linsey Graham, no, not the senator, a different Linsey Graham, hopes to fill in the blanks around the infamous investor to the stars origin story and how he was able to lure and rape young women with no consequences for so long.
Mr. Epstein should have been looking at a potential sentence of 360 years at a minimum. But that's not what happened, because there was a power dynamic here, wasn't there?
This 6-part series is expected to look at Epstein's suicide while in custody and the rumors behind it. The Mysterious Mr. Epstein is timely without being rushed, attempting to pull together the various threads of incomplete news stories into one narrative. Now, we will be talking about plot points from 3 episodes of The Mysterious Mr. Epstein, so to stay spoiler-free, look for the time code listed in our show notes. Now, Kevin, you had the same reaction to this podcast that I do initially. There's some strong reporting here, and it's actually a pretty straight narrative storytelling enterprise with this podcast, right?
Yeah, I do think it's very solid. I do like Linsey Graham's. I'm going to laugh the whole time I say it.
It's an unfortunate coincidence.
It's
not your fault, Linsey Graham, that you have the same name as Linsey Graham.
Yes, yeah. I mean, Kevin Flynn is also the lead character in Tron.
Yes.
But we're just going to push through on that. I do like his voice and his delivery. That gives a certain amount of gravitas to the podcast because it is, a serious subject when you're talking about the crimes here. I also buy into it when he says they're going to be doing a deeper investigation here. And it's not just about what happened with the sex trafficking, but also about like his financial background and how he got into this position and the people that covered for him. And, I think the mysterious Mr. Epstein is a very apt title for this story.
I do too. And a couple of our listeners on our Facebook group complained about the title, saying it sort of glamorizes him, the word mysterious. And I'm like, actually, no, he's literally very mysterious.
Well, what do you think mysterious means?
I know. I think it's sort of seen as like
sexy mysterious?
Exactly, which I don't
Wrong
think it
kind
is.
of mysterious.
I don't think it is. Like, nobody knows how this guy got all of his money. Like, no one knows.
It's the International Man of Mystery, I think is the...
Exactly. That's the implication. But literally, he is a mysterious guy. I mean, his ability to get jobs without any formal college education, his ability to, just move into that dude's giant mansion in New York and just claim that it's his and how that's okay. I mean, there's a lot of actual mystery there that I think makes it an appropriate title as well.
I don't think it's that mysterious.
No?
But I'm getting ahead of us. Go ahead. Sorry.
Now, Laura, you sent me a note. You said you also expected a podcast when the Epstein story broke. But you didn't want to give him the attention of listening to one. What do you think when you're actually listening to this? Are you glad you're giving it that attention?
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, I definitely, when this broke, I was like, this guy is such a asshole. I don't even want to give this guy any sort of focus. I mean, he is just, the things he's done are horrible. But I kind of was like, someone's going to do a podcast. Given all that, I was like, oh, we're going to listen to that. Great. I really didn't want to because I felt like this was going to be pretty upsetting, but it's very well done and it's well reported. It's well produced. They've got a lot of interesting voices, and the background about him working at the private school I thought was really interesting. Details, especially the one student who sort of early on flagged that something was going on and was not listened to, which mirrors a lot of the stories we've heard in recent years, like at private schools and public schools with teachers that have been brought up on, long overdue sexual assault charges. So I won't say I'm glad I listened, but I'm going to say it's pretty well done.
Toby, you sent me an interesting note about how this podcast, and I think just any sort of reporting around this story, seems like an indictment of the ethics of a lot of rich people, not just Epstein. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's what I was kind of hitting at when I said I didn't think it was all that surprising, like how he managed to worm his way into these situations. There's that book, The Psychopath in the Boardroom, right? And I think a lot of people who are very wealthy have sort of a different attitude towards morality or whatever, so that Epstein probably seems like a real sort of go-get-em guy when they meet him. And it's like a chip off the old block. Like he's sort of an amoral, somewhat psychotic guy who's just going to be super aggressive in pursuing money, whether it's for him or for other people, like his various patrons. And, I think that carries over into other facets of his life. And I thought, to me, in some ways, the most, I guess it wasn't shocking, but the most, how the hell does this happen, is the fact that Len Wexner guy from The Limited is completely enabling him to basically kidnap this artist woman and hold her hostage in this mansion. I mean,
that was
insane.
The craziest story. That was the craziest one.
I mean, if I knew that Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I mean, there's no way Bill Clinton, Alan Dershowitz, all these people who associate with him, they must know. And yet they're willing to go past it. And I think it has to do with sort of this idea that kind of morality is for other people.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of speculation, and we can speculate because Jeffrey Epstein is now dead. But there's a lot of speculation even before his death, after he was arrested, about the source of his wealth potentially being that a lot of these rich billionaire guys that he associates with also have some of the same predilections he does. And he, potentially was hooking him up. And then, they were buying his silence with money. I mean, that's kind of out there. And I think that's something that reporter Julie Brown is continuing to dig into as she sort of continues to investigate the story. I have quibbles about the podcast in terms of like production and stuff. The one voice that I really wish was in it, but I'm certain there's a reason why, is Julie Brown, the Miami Herald reporter who did a lot of the reporting that exposed the story of Epstein's sweetheart deal and kind of, really brought this story into the mainstream in a lot of ways. Her editor's in it, which is great. And the reason I think she's not in it, I'm guessing, Kevin, I could be wrong, but I'm probably right that she's probably doing something else, right?
Yeah, it probably has.
She probably has a book deal or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Kevin, getting back to that sweetheart deal, what do you think of that deal? The fact that he was, basically sentenced to own almost nothing sentence, like 18 months. He didn't even serve that. And then he was able to leave every day to go to this fake job.
Yeah.
And he went home.
Yeah. Yeah, the idea that, that there's this little bit like in the story before they get to that about how he got out-lawyered is how the defense team put it. They didn't like just give us a deal. We just did a better job of defending him to get all the federal charges brushed aside in exchange for...
It's total bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, and I'll just say, at least give the career prosecutors in that office, the federal prosecutors, some credit for complaining later when they found out how I wasn't even like really staying in the jail. But that whole story about, I mean, there really are two justice systems. There's one for the rich and there's one for the rest of us. And that's just like the most brazen example. I mean, certainly you could say, there was a big donation made to the sheriff's office. That might explain some of what was going on the state side. I think it's still unclear why the federal government backed off on that.
Didn't even tell the victims that they're making a deal.
Which is illegal. Let's talk about the backstory that we get. I mean, the podcast is promising to give us more of the Epstein backstory than we've gotten in reporting so far, or at least putting it together in a more complete way. Laura, what did you think about Epstein's background? Never graduated college, yet got a job teaching at a very prestigious private school in New York, where a couple of my nieces went, by the way. My sister's ex-stepkids attended Dalton School, so I'm like, that actually is a very fancy school.
Yeah.
And then, was it Bear Stearns, the investment firm where he worked?
Yeah.
And, his ability to sort of get jobs, obviously he's bright. Obviously he's good at math and physics, because you can't just teach those classes without knowing a little bit about those subjects.
They said. Yeah.
What do you think about how the podcast handled that backstory stuff?
I definitely, this is one of the stories that when it broke in the news, first of all, I was like super like, okay, this woman from the Miami Herald is a hero for breaking this story. Like, she's fucking amazing. But I was like, I don't want to watch too much of this. I don't want to listen to. So it was really interesting to listen to the way that he was able to sort of weasel his way into these situations and pull it off, this sort of, I'll call it like a con man sort of ability to kind of talk his way into situations, and especially at the school where it was like, it didn't even sound like they checked out his background too much, because they were so impressed by the fact that he was so smart at math and they really couldn't find people to teach those subjects, and that he could do both of them was like, that's a bonus. But then the way that he used that to sort of ingratiate himself with the parents of his students, who then would be able to get him to the next level. Definitely when you hear about somebody like this and you hear about everything that he's been able to pull off, he certainly must have some sort of a talent for, like the used car salesman thing. Like, he can sell himself and get himself into these situations where he, is able to come across as legitimate, even though he really has no grounds for doing anything that he's doing. So that was actually the episode that I liked the most. I really did not like listening to some of the other episodes that were a little more graphic in terms of the abuse, but the backstory was very interesting.
You know what it enlightens for me is that maybe this isn't the mysterious Mr. Epstein. It's more like the talented Mr. Epstein, and talented in the way, that evil way, where he can bullshit and survive and groom. There are other people in the world with the same predilection, but they don't also have that kind of drive and luck and skill to put themselves in a position where they are millionaires and have their own private island and shit like that.
You know what's crazy to me is how not secret any of it is. And this is the thing that differentiates like rich people committing crimes from not rich people committing crimes. Like Jeffrey Epstein had pictures of his underage victims hanging in his house.
Yeah.
Like it was not a secret. He had them hanging in his house. Like people went to his house and they saw them there. And, you know, he would talk about like enjoying massages from like young people. He was paying high school students to recruit other high school students to come to his house so that he could force them to massage him and coerce them into these sex acts. High school students are not known for their discretion. Like he did not give a shit who knew about this. It was just like way out in the open. And of course, the defense for that is always like, well, would it be so open if it was I was actually committing this crime? Like that's always the defense that rich people do, right?
Yeah.
But it reminds me a lot of like, you know, even looking at the, the rich parents and the college scandal. Like the richer they are, the more brazen they are and the less contrite they seem to be. Like it's crazy. Like the richer you get,
entitled
it seems like
people feel entitled.
Yeah, I guess that's true. All right. Well, I want to talk about another character that is an important part of the Epstein story. And that is his one-time girlfriend, or perhaps on again, off again girlfriend, certainly co-conspirator in some ways. That's Ghislaine Maxwell.
It's a cloudy day in the fall of 1991. A group of reporters is crowded onto a dock at Tenerife, the largest of the Canary Islands. They are standing beside a 180-foot yacht with microphones and notepads in hand as they eagerly await a statement. A brown-haired woman wearing a red plaid suit and dangly gold earrings emerges from the yacht's cabin. She's somber, but composed as she strides down the deck to face the assembled reporters.
I also want to take this opportunity to thank all the many hundreds of people who have sent messages of support to us at this very, very sad time.
Toby, what are your thoughts on Maxwell? I mean, she's somebody the media is very interested in now. She was recently tracked down, staying at a friend's house. And was it outside of Boston or something, or in LA? She was photographed like eating a burger or something like that. Mm-hmm. She certainly still manages to be in the news, but she's an important part of the story. What do you think of her as a character?
She's one of the few people in this who seems like she sort of fits both into victim and perpetrator, I guess. So she's a little more complicated in that, her father, who was this very rich English guy who apparently was also a pedophile. I don't know how that could not be damaging, like with how open that seemed to be, where her father would, after lunch, like have young girls come into his office or something, and he'd close the door and lock it from inside and then give them presents afterwards. So, knowing that that's going on, and then somehow ending up in a relationship with like another guy who's a pedophile, and then becoming sort of enthralled to him to the point where he apparently likes his women thin, which I fear means like pubescent.
Yeah.
That she starves herself, or at least she says she does. And then she ends up, being sort of a procuress for him. And then, in that one story from the mansion in Ohio, kind of joins in with the abuse. So she seems like a very sad story, which is not to give her an excuse for the things that she did, but her story seems a little more complicated.
I agree with you. Her story seems more complicated. When I heard the story about her father, that was freaking horrifying. And certainly to sort of be stuck in a cycle where you end up with somebody who is basically doing the same kind of abuse you were subjected to as a kid. It's not very hard to connect the dots. That story, by the way, of that girl who says she was assaulted by Ghislaine as well as Epstein is horrifying. And I just want to clarify one thing, because I just refer to her as a character, and that's something we say a lot on this podcast, and I've gotten a few emails about this in the last couple of months. When we talk about people as characters, we're talking about where they play in the story that we're talking about on the show, like how they're used in the narrative. And yes, real people can also be characters in a narrative, right, Kevin?
Yes.
Right. So just to clarify that, we're not trying to in any way lessen the real life.
We're using nonfiction nomenclature and not the kind that you would use if you were
Exactly.
a prosecutor or a victim advocate or something like that.
Exactly. Speaking of something that's almost too crazy to be believed, Pedophile Island, apparently.
Oh, my God.
Oh, God.
A year after the assault in Santa Monica, a Wexner-controlled entity buys Epstein's Ohio mansion back from him. The sale price is $8 million, over double what Epstein had paid for the property a few years earlier. Around the same time, Epstein purchases an island in the Caribbean for roughly the same price. In effect, Epstein sells Wexner a property Wexner himself originally built and makes enough money on the deal to buy his own private island. The island's called Little St. James, but Epstein calls it Little St. Jeff's instead. The island will become a kingdom run by its own laws and its own morality, and Epstein's abuse of young girls and women is about to become a lot more brazen.
Laura, apparently you've had a close call with Pedophile Island.
What?
I have. Yes.
Well, she's seen it. I mean, she
I've
didn't really
seen
have a
it.
close call.
So
From the air?
I don't know if you all recall. No, when I was off with the legally blind sailing captain in the Virgin Islands last year, and we were
So
sailing
you saw
around.
it, but he didn't?
No, and he said to me, we have our 2 billionaires down here. We have the pedophile over there, and he pointed out the island. And he said, and then we have like Kenny Chesney, who's done some good stuff for us after the hurricane, and we like him.
So not actually a secret then, you know?
No, they all knew it. The locals down there really didn't like him, and they had a lot of negative feelings towards him.
So here's something I didn't know about Jeffrey Epstein that I feel like I should have known, but I guess, a lot of this reporting just hasn't been in one place before for me to consume it all at the same time. That he also is apparently guilty of perpetrating like a huge ass Ponzi scheme and was never prosecuted for it. What's up with that?
I don't know. That's why it makes the story so interesting.
Thoughts, Toby?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm interested in finding out. My initial sort of conspiratorial thought is that he probably hooked up somebody somewhere in the process with a young girl, and it's like, it'd be better if I didn't go to jail for you.
Yeah.
But it is kind of weird. And then the guy who was kind of his associate in this ends up doing a lot of jail time.
Yeah, and I forget that guy's name, but if he's talking to the grand jury and giving up Epstein, it sounds like that what the prosecutors are trying to do is give him some consideration, and Epstein is the actual target. And so the way that guy ends up going to jail, and Epstein apparently never gets charged, is just like a real either fuck up of the case or it was by design.
Yeah, this guy has friends in high places. He just does. I mean, I don't think that's a secret anymore, right?
I think at this time in his life, this is pre-Wexler and pre-being, with the very upper crust. It seems like this was a mid-level Ponzi scheme that this was the source of his seed money.
Yeah. But he was still with friends with rich people, rich enough.
I guess,
right?
Rich enough, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's really easy to get into like crazy conspiracy land when you talk about this, except that a lot of it has borne out and turned out to be completely true. Like if you were to say about somebody, oh, there's a guy who is a prolific pedophile, did it for decades, got a super easy deal that somebody high up in the government clearly like arranged for him and was able to just like go out to a fake job every day and like pick up right where he left off being a pedophile when he was no longer in jail, and like nobody cared, and had a private island, or you'd be like, that sounds crazy. It sounds like Pizzagate stuff. It's all true though. It all happened. And it's really easy to get into a headspace where you're like, he must have a pretty fucking incredible black book, and he must have an incredible set of friends in high places or enemies in high places who'd rather people not know what he knows about them. I don't know. It's impossible to not think that, right?
Right.
I want to mention one thing. Kevin, we've never reviewed this episode on our podcast about Law and Order, the episode about Jeffrey Epstein that came out, in like 2011, 2012?
I don't recall it, but I know you do.
Yes, it is there's an episode that came out, I want to say in like 2011, 2012 about Jeffrey Epstein that tracks so closely with the real story. It's called Flight. It's an SVU episode. And if anyone is interested in just sort of comparing how ripped from the headlines.
It was like teen models massaging a guy.
It tracked so closely. It tracked so closely with what ended up being the real, evidence that they were talking about, the prosecutors were talking about after he was arrested, that it's really amazing because, a lot of those episodes of SVU, Kevin, like they're ripped from the headlines-ish. That one was really, really dead on. It's really, really crazy.
They did find, replace in the script. They just took out Epstein and put in Mr. Jones.
Yeah. Now, one last thing I just want to poll you guys about. We reviewed a lot of Wondery podcasts on the show. I think they vary in quality, but I think it sounds like we all kind of in agreement this one is more straight, more reported, but it is very Wondery also, and they have their own unique production style. They always have sort of a rock and roll theme song. They have some other sonic elements. Kevin, where are you on the Wondery style? You would still know this was a Wondery show if you didn't know it, right?
Yeah, I would. High production value, very lush. I mean, I kind of rolled my eyes a little bit with some of the, sound effects of and he opened the door and walked in, that kind of stuff.
They drive down a dead-end street and park in front of a 2-story pink house. Then they walk down the driveway, past a guardhouse, and through the kitchen door. Once inside,
but it's not disqualifying for me. I do believe Wondery has decided they have a sound and that they're leaning into that. Maybe, it's going to be that without even knowing about it, just by listening, you'd be able to identify a Wondery product. They've also gotten very good at story selection recently and have had a couple of really good podcasts.
Well, it helps this one has actual, a lot of journalism in it too, right? I mean, doesn't that make you forgive the discordant blues soundtrack a little bit? Because Toby, you don't really like the blues soundtrack either, right?
I'm just not sure how it applies to Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem to have lived a very bluesy life to me.
So, Kevin, who's the next sponsor for this fine podcast?
Oh, our sponsor is Quince.
Kevin, I'm wearing a Quince dress right now.
I know. Hold on, Nana. Don't get ahead of ourselves. The best summer pieces are the ones you end up wearing on repeat. Comfortable, versatile, and somehow right for almost every occasion. And Quince makes it easy to create a summer wardrobe that you'll love with things like... What is this?
Incredible linen wrap dress. I wear this dress all the time. This button-down, camp dress. I love it.
They've got such amazing European linen products. The shirts that I have. It's great for the summertime.
Pants I just ordered.
Very comfortable, yet elevated. Wait. I mean, elevated. But we don't know. Hold on. You just ordered more stuff from Quince?
Did you see the package upstairs? It's a pair of pants.
Oh, that's...
I was European linen pants. I had to try them because they're a new style.
Oh, man.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. At this point, though, Quince, please, you must name a whole clothing line after Rebecca.
Mm-hmm.
Because she has single-handedly kept several people employed.
Yes.
I think. There at Quince.
So make your summer wardrobe feel easier. Go to quince.com/crime.
Crime.
For free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada, too.
Bonjour, hi.
That's QUINCE.com/crime.
Crime.
For free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/crime.
Crime.
Hi, it's Sierra Miller. I can't wait for you to check out my new collection of shoes and accessories at Designer Shoe Warehouse. If you love shoes as much as I do, then trust me, I got you. From cute sneakerinas to the perfect flip-flops to stunning heels, these shoes are all style, no drama. It's a girl's girl summer, and DSW has just the shoes. Shop the Sierra Miller collection right now at your DSW store or DSW.com.
How will you celebrate America's 250th birthday? With a perfect night's sleep. Enjoy huge savings at the Serta July 4th sales event. Save up to $600 on Serta Perfect Sleeper X mattresses and adjustable base sets with the Q4 support system that helps relieve aches and back pain. Limited time offer. Visit a Serta retailer today. Perfect sleeper, perfect sleep, night after night.
Some say Odoo Business Management software is like fertilizer because of the way it promotes growth. Some say Odoo is like a magic beanstalk, scaling with you while being magically affordable. And some say Odoo's programs for manufacturing, accounting, and more are like building blocks for creating a custom software suite. But I say Odoo is all of it. Fertilizer magic beanstalk building blocks for business. Yeah, Odoo. Exactly what every business needs. Sign up at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
Traditional home security only alerts you after a break-in, and that's too late. Simply Safe is changing that.
Stop. This is Simply Safe. Police are on the way.
We don't just alert, we stop crime before it starts. Simply Safe, plan starting around $1 a day. Save 50% on your new system with professional monitoring at simplysafe.com/SXM or with promo code SXM.
Outdoor deterrence requires a Simply Safe Active Guard outdoor protection plan starting at $49.99 a month. Visit simplysafe.com/licenses for alarm license information. Tennessee 2012.
It's time to poll the panel. Would you recommend to our listeners that they check out The Mysterious Mr. Epstein from Wondery? It is a very popular podcast. Laura Bricker, I'm going to start with you. Thumbs up or thumbs down for this show?
I'm going to go with thumbs up. Not that, like I said, I was originally like, I don't want to give this guy any attention. Nobody should do a podcast about him. He sucks. He's an asshole, all that stuff. But this is really well done. It's interesting. It does give some backstory, and it is an interesting story in terms of looking at the totality of how somebody like this was able to use, sort of his privilege to get away with something that he should have been put away for long before he was.
Toby, what about you? Thumbs up or thumbs down for The Mysterious Mr. Epstein?
I give it a thumbs up. I think it's super solid. The journalism's good. It ticks off all the boxes that we tend to like and avoids all the things that we don't. It's kind of an interesting story, and it's very relevant right now. So thumbs up.
I'm giving it a thumbs up as well. I think a podcast like this does a good service to a podcasting audience who may not be reading, one article here in the Washington Post and one article here from the Miami Herald and one article here from the New York Times and one, you know what I mean? So it does a good job synthesizing a lot of that reporting and bringing it together into one narrative, which is a good service to bring to an audience. And I think that a podcast is a great place to do original reporting, but then also kind of pull together elements from their story. My only quibble about the show is a production quibble. As Kevin mentioned, I'm not a big fan of the very literal background sounds as I walk down the sidewalk to the door and hearing the step, squeaky door. Not a huge fan of that. Also not a huge fan of when a narrator in a voiceover is quoting something and then they add like a special effect to his voice and go from him to him with a special effect. That's just like
panning back and forth left to right.
Not a huge fan of that way of doing it. But other than that, I have to say I was really, really surprised by how good The Mysterious Mr. Epstein is. I plan to continue listening. I want to know more about the money stuff. I really, really hope they continue telling that part of the story. And of course, I want to know what they can dig up around that alleged suicide after he was in jail. So I'm going to continue listening. Thumbs up for me. What about you, Kevin?
I'm also a thumbs up. Wondery has been doing a great job upping their game. Right on the heels of Joe Exotic, coming out with a really substantive, timely podcast and pulling together the story in sort of probably for the first time certainly in this format, but pulling together all these disparate stories and making one larger narrative about who Jeffrey Epstein was and the troubling issues that his whole case brings up. I do really enjoy Linsey Graham as an announcer and as a journalist.
Sorry.
Every time they say Linsey Graham, I'm like, what?
Well, anyway, I think Linsey Graham's doing a great job. He certainly has the kind of delivery and the presence, this audio presence that really elevates the storytelling, and I have a lot of faith in what he's putting forward. The Mysterious Mr. Epstein, I think, is an important story to hear, even if the details might turn your stomach.
Well, that was interesting.
Man, it's just so funny how back in 2019, I don't want to say how little we knew, but how this story continues to blossom and just kind of fascinate us even all this time later.
It shouldn't go away, and it hasn't gone away, and I think that's really interesting.
And who thought that the least political part of this would be that somebody named Linsey Graham was the host.
Good job on this one, Linsey.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this show was recorded in Studio C, the closet in our New Hampshire basement, where we also listen to the advice of Captain Phil and go instead to Kenny Chesney's Island. On behalf of all the crime writers, thanks so much for listening. We will catch you later.
Partners in Crime Media.
In the U.S., Yes, there's a break-in every 26 seconds. But when intruders step near, Simply Safe Home Security steps up.
Stop. This is Simply Safe. Police are on the way.
Using AI alerts, US-based live agents help deter break-ins. Simply Safe, no long-term contracts. Save 50% on your new system with professional monitoring at simplysafe.com/SXM or with promo code SXM.
Outdoor deterrence requires a Simply Safe Active Guard outdoor protection plan starting at $49.99 a month. Visit simplysafe.com/licenses for alarm license information. Tennessee 2012.